Well, of course, the other big news yesterday, Chris Christie dropping out of the presidential race. So as we welcome on Jeff Angelo, WHO Radio in Des Moines, with the Iowa caucuses coming up on Monday, the biggest question, Jeff, has to be this. Where do Chris Christie's 7 voters go?
Well, yeah, exactly right. 4 for you, 3 for me. That sounds great. No, I attended the CNN debate last night in Des Moines at Drake University, DeSantis, Haley. And, that I felt like if you were watching that debate last night, you haven't made up your mind quite yet between those two. And so, what happens now is DeSantis and Haley are attempting to position themselves as the legitimate candidate for people that don't want to vote for Donald Trump. And so having another person out of the race helps them. I feel like after the Iowa caucuses on Monday night, the second place finisher will beg the other candidates to get out of the race so that he or she can consolidate that anti-Trump vote behind them and have a chance. But at the same time, Pete, Trump's still going to win big on Monday night. So using a football analogy, like he's going to come out of Iowa like as if the Chiefs have a 21-0 lead after the first quarter and they're the favored team. There's a pathway to victory for the other team, but it's a long shot at that particular point. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I mentioned it on the show earlier, Jeff. I said the only way that Trump could lose by also winning is if he comes in with a victory under 50%, because then suddenly you would look at it and say, well, if he's under 50 in Iowa,
right,
maybe there's a path, if it is one-on-one in future states, for somebody else to consolidate the votes. Do you see that being a possibility on Monday night?
That is a possibility, Pete, and you've nailed it, man. I mean, basically, you have to be, let's say you're DeSantis and you finish in second, which is what I'm predicting is going to happen. And if Trump gets under 50%, you're exactly right. You're going to say to the voters, look, there's more than 50% of people that want somebody else. Nikki Haley, get out. Vivek Ramaswamy, get out. Asia Hutchinson, are you still in? I'm not sure. Get out. So, I mean, you just tell everybody else to get out. If you legitimately don't want Trump to be your nominee, you've got to consolidate all of that Trump vote around somebody. And, yeah, that's exactly what happens after Monday night.
Now, take us through this caucus process again. For people that are not as familiar with it, it's not a traditional primary, right? So how does the Iowa caucus work, and what makes it different from a traditional go to the polls and vote for your guy or gal in a primary?
Yeah, so basically what will happen is Iowans on Monday night will bundle up because we're going to have 11 below wind chills, and they'll head to a local building, and they'll sit around a table with their neighbors, and they'll conduct Republican Party business, because this actually is a Republican Party function. They'll elect central committee members. They'll debate platform items, things like that. Then there will be a point in the night when your neighbors will get up and they'll advocate for a candidate. Neighbor Bob will say it should be Trump, and neighbor Jane will say it should be Nikki. And then literally you will have blank pieces of paper in front of you. You will elect your most trustworthy neighbor to count the ballots, probably the one that you always give your yard tools to, and they'll give them back to you, right? Most trustworthy neighbor, and they will actually count up the ballots in their neighborhood, and then they will report them to the Republican Party of Iowa, and we'll get a caucus winner. So it isn't an official state function. There aren't ballot boxes. This literally is a function in Iowa of the Republican Party of Iowa choosing its nominee.
So that process is interesting because there is no go to the polls. It's trusting someone to add up votes effectively and essentially, right? I mean, I don't know. It just sounds very antiquated to me, but I guess Iowans still like it, so that's why you guys still do it.
Yeah, in the end, Pete, it's a straw poll. It really is a straw poll among Republicans in Iowa. And you're right. Further down the line, it's very interesting because you go to New Hampshire where literally you're going to go to a voting place. And that day, and this is what makes New Hampshire so interesting, you can say, I'm a Republican for the day because I'm interested in voting for a Republican. And you can do that. In Iowa, it's committed Republicans going to a party function and voting for who they want, which is what makes it so unique and different from what's coming down the line.
All right, Jeff Angelo, WHO in Des Moines, is joining us. The Iowa caucuses are on Monday. You alluded to the weather. I mean, listen, it's going to be -1 here for the Chiefs game on Saturday nights. I know you know that, and we're all going to be in for it here the next few days. You guys will be colder than us, obviously. So the weather, you said -11 on Monday there in Iowa. How much does that impact turnout for these caucuses, if at all?
It will, yeah. We won't have a record turnout because what will happen is the voters that are less enthusiastic about showing up will just say, you know, there's a new season of The Crown streaming on Netflix, so I think I'm just going to stay in. So it won't be a record turnout. And what will happen then, Pete, and this is what I love about the Iowa caucuses, the weather will have an impact on who wins and by how much. You know, Trump supporters will walk through glass to show up. I would rank DeSantis voters to be the second most enthusiastic. I think the weather actually adversely impacts Haley. I think her voters are the least enthusiastic, but they're willing to show up if the weather would permit. And I feel like she will absolutely be sad on Monday night about the 11 below wind chill, because I think a lot of her supporters, they'd show up if the weather was nicer, but they're really not that committed.
Interestingly, is there any way that the weather, as you noted, helps DeSantis but potentially hurts Trump because of DeSantis's ground game that apparently is the best in the state, and the fact that I wonder if like there's this reverse psychology where Trump voters say, hey, he's going to win by a mile anyway. I'm not going out of the house in this weather. Is that possible?
Oh, Pete, that is a legitimate concern of the Trump campaign. That's why they're bringing all the, Trump's is here all the time now. He's got a lot of high-profile surrogates showing up. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Roseanne Barr, for goodness sake, is showing up. They know that might be a problem, and that is their message at these rallies. Please don't believe the polls. Don't not show up thinking, oh, Trump's got this in the bag. That is a legitimate concern for the Trump campaign.
Oh, if you break out Roseanne Barr to the bullpen, you mean business. That's the age-old adage, right?
Serious politics, buddy. You got Roseanne Barr in the bullpen.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So things haven't changed in terms of your prediction, in terms of Trump taking this thing on Monday. I think that's pretty well a foregone conclusion. How much? What do you think we're looking at, though, Jeff Angelo?
I'd say by probably 25 is what I'm going to say. And then I think DeSantis finishes second, Haley third. And then, yes, DeSantis says, I've got the momentum. Everybody else needs to get out. If you really don't want Trump to be the nominee, everybody needs to rally around me.
Okay. How proud, by the way, are Iowans of, and how seriously do they take this first in the country primary thing?
Incredibly, incredibly serious. This is part of the culture of Iowa. We love to talk about weather. We love to talk about who the next president of the United States should be. It is a big, big, big part of our culture. We take it very seriously. And in fact, Pete, last night I did watch highlights of the Trump town hall, the counter programming to the Haley DeSantis debate. There were some amazingly great questions by Iowans. They are really, really astute. They take it very seriously. I'm very proud of Iowans and how they impact the presidential candidates and put them through their paces.
But it's interesting, and I'm trying to pull this up in front of me, but I did have this on me a week or two ago where Iowa typically doesn't end up picking the nominee. I think it's been since maybe George W., the first time around that they actually picked the person who ended up getting the nomination.
No, we call the field, basically. I mean, we put people through their paces. Kamala Harris didn't make it to the Iowa caucus, and there's a reason for that. We're all learning why that happened. But, a guy like Tim Scott, he didn't make it. Chris Christie obviously is not going to make it. So, yeah, our job is we cull the field. And then,
like
down the line, you're welcome, America. You won't have to deal with 11 candidates. You have to deal with 3 candidates, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is tough stuff campaigning through Iowa and winning the support of Iowans. And we do. You're exactly right. We don't often pick the winner, but we do cull the field, and your best candidates are who are remaining when you're done. It's like Thunderdome. All these candidates enter, but just a few leave.
Mm-hmm. And it's got to be good for the economy up there, too, I would imagine, every 4 years. A good economic boost.
Oh, man. Like I said, I attended the CNN debate last night, just the takeout orders.
Yeah.
I mean, literally hundreds of reporters from around the world all ordering takeout from our local restaurants, all staying in hotels in downtown Des Moines. The alcohol bill, I mean, amazing, because it's all on the company account, right? So it's like, sure, your best whiskey, sir, please.
Yes.
This would be basically for Iowa, this would be a slow time in downtown Des Moines, with the exception of all the ag conventions that are going on right now. This is such a multi-million-dollar boost to our economy. Again, the Democrats are so dumb for having given the status up, because it is such a boost to our economy and such a boost to our downtown life right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff Angelo, WHO in Des Moines, if you're heading up that way on 35, take a listen to him. He's on 9 to 11 every day. Jeff, good stuff. Thanks for being here on KCMO and fitting us in.
Hey, man, it's always an honor, Pete. Thanks very much.
We'll talk to you soon. Jeff Angelo, Des Moines Radio. Great to have him on the show.